Hey everybody, welcome back to Fire Talk. Sorry for not uploading an episode yesterday. We were kind of busy, so we're going to give you guys two today. Now, we're recording this on the day that we were supposed to come out with the episode, so it's kind of late. If we're not in our right minds, we're sorry. But, pretty much today what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about Matt Olson. I know yesterday when we were, I forgot what day, when we were doing our live stream, there was a good, I want to say at least 40 to 50 comments talking about Matt Olson. And we just think it's a really interesting option. If it's a realistic option, it's kind of what we're going to talk about. It's just that he's worth a lot, and I don't know if we necessarily have a lot to give considering how stingy AJ has been with Campusano, Hassel, Abrams, Gore, Weathers, and rightfully so. But again, you saw that the A's were willing to unload a manager who was only making $4 million. You got to wonder who else who else they want to unload. So, Chase, what do you think of the move? Who would you be willing to give up? And obviously, it's a huge upgrade for this team. But what do you think of the move?
It's a huge upgrade both defensively and offensively. You look at Olson, you get a guy who he's a really good power hitting first baseman. He really lifts the ball. He hits stuff to the gap like consistently. He can hit oppo. He's really good at getting the ball out of the infield and kind of just keeping things in the air. He's owed, I believe it was 12 million, so it's going to be a little weird, the configuration of the trade. They might just be like, you know what, we'll give you more of a top end prospect if you throw some cash in with it. So they only maybe pay like half of the contract. But the way I can see it working out is since Olson is one of the premier first basemen within the league because of his offensive and defensive prowess, I see you probably throw in a guy like Justin Lange, who is a very high upside prospect if you can get everything together. The A's are very good at developing their talent, so I think they're going to look at this guy and be like, this kid could be something special. And then I'd probably throw in Reese Neer. Those are two top 10 guys. You probably get Olson and probably a little bit of money. And maybe you can throw in a player to be named later, just kind of the end of the deal to sprinkle it up a little bit. But I can see those two guys going. Near's kind of stuck. He's supposed to be a starter. He's been thrown into the bullpen. He's looked really good in his MLB time. But with the guys coming back from injury, it's kind of really hard to be like you have a definite spot on the team. And with Lange, we saw him somewhat develop this year. He had some rough outings. He had some really good outings. The kid throws 100 miles an hour as a starter. No team is not going to look at that and be like, I want that guy on my team. So I think those are probably the two best candidates. If not, it's going to be like Lange or Near plus a guy from like the top 10 or top 11 to top 20. Probably like Victor Lozaraga or, Uguay Rosario. It's going to be something like that. And probably a player to be named later. But I think it's really good. I like it. Like I said, anything's better than Eric Hosmer at first. You look at his numbers and you're like, yeah, you know what? Eric Hosmer's batting numbers were not that. They were good. And then if you really watched the games, you saw the negative impact his bat brought because he would just ground into so many double plays. His OPS wasn't there. He had one of the worst slugging. He was, I think, the worst slugging first baseman in the league. I think we've mentioned that multiple times. The only thing that saved OPS is that he walked. But even then, he's not the fastest runner, so he's not going to contribute on the bases. And he's made some really bonehead move on the bases, too. So it's like, yeah, he walks. But how is he going to mess up on the bases? So what do you think, Isaac?
Obviously, what you brought up about Eric Hosmer, how he walks a lot. Surprisingly, this was the most I've seen him walk in a little while. Not only that, he does hit with runners in scoring position, so I guess that's kind of the only argument you can make for him. Other than that, he's been shown statistically and, with the eye test, been shown to be among the worst first basemen, if not the worst first baseman in baseball. Significantly held us down the stretch, really all season, except for in April. Just I can't name a player on a contending team that holds down the team that much, specifically in the World Series. So it's hard to be able to compete for a championship with guys like that on your team. I don't know who they'd have to give up. I think if they had to give up something on the high end, I would assume it's one of Paddock, Weathers, or Campusano. I would probably assume that, but seeing how they're trying to dump salary, I would probably assume it'd be one of like Lange, and I love Victor Acosta too, but maybe Victor Acosta or I don't know, something within like the 10 to 15 range. I would only be willing to give up a top prospect if they're able to throw in somebody like Bassett or Montas, something like that for a back end starter, or just because we saw how injuries ravaged the Padres down the stretch. We barely had any starting pitching. We had to sign Vince Velasquez and Jake Arrieta. I think being able to trade for a starter like Bassett or Montas would be really beneficial to have more starters on the team in the event that happens again. It is an 160. Actually, it might be a shortened season next year, but you always got to have that kind of insurance. So if it's just Matt Olson, I would probably say a prospect and some in the 10 to 15 range. But if it's for more, I could realistically see one of Paddock, Weathers. You mentioned Lange. Lange is definitely one of those guys that could go. Angeles is one of those guys that could go. Rosario. But those are the realistic trade candidates. And if we look at who we traded for Darvish, traded Davies, and of course, different situations, different positions. But we traded Davies. We traded, I forgot the other prospects, but I don't think this one will be as expensive as the Darvish and Snell move.
No. See, the thing is if the A's are ready to get rid of someone, they have a pretty good scouting team. So they are going to look at certain guys in the system and be like, we're going to value these guys more highly probably. Because if we look at the trade deadline not too long ago, they traded Jesus Luzardo for, was it Starling Marte? And that was basically it. It's like a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah,
And
I love
Jesus
Luzardo
has a lot of potential. Look at that lefty. He may have not put it together, but I think he will. It was just he never got the opportunities to put it together with the A's. That's what a lot of A's fans were saying. They're like, you gave up on this kid too soon. The kid has the potential to be one of the best starters in the MLB with all of his stuff. So you never know. You can see it and be like, you know what? Olson's going to be an expensive first baseman, but you can look at the A's and what they have done. They don't like to pay their players. They like to get stuff while they can for their players. So I can see realistically seeing maybe 2 top end, low end, like top 10 prospects, or 1 top 10 and 1 from the 11 to 20. But you know what? First things first, you got to get rid of Hosmer.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the main thing. You got to dump that contract somehow, and you got to get rid of him because he's not going to do you any good.
Absolutely. So, just to bring up Matt Olson's stats to show how much of an upgrade he would be, I said he would be my perennial 4 or 5 hitter. I think that's perfect considering his stats. We saw this year, 271 batting average, hit 39 home runs, a 911 OPS with a 540 slugging percentage and a 371 on base percentage, 153 OPS plus. Such good stats. That is definitely a guy you want plugged into your 4 or 5 slot. And with that, you can potentially have Trent Grisham, Fernando, Jake, Manny, and Matt Olson in your top 5, however you want to arrange them. And that's arguably the top 5. That's arguably the best 5 in baseball. You could definitely argue that. And in terms of like what the Padres were missing this year, I truly believe what they were missing, because like I've said, what we've said really is that the top teams, the teams that were left contending in the LCS, were all among the bottom 5 in hitting ground balls. They all hit the least amount of ground balls. Home runs play a big part, especially right now where all these pitchers are throwing disgusting stuff out of the bullpen, and as starters, where that one home run could definitely lift you up. Matt Olson hitting 39, that would have been second on this team behind Fernando, and that would have been second by a large margin. I forgot who was in second. I want to say it was Manny at like 27, 28. So that's another 11 home runs, and that would be huge for this lineup. Defensively, anything is better than Eric Hosmer. Is Matt Olson a realistic option? Who knows? I would honestly say it's 35-65 in favor of no, but AJ Preller has been able to work some magic. We just got Mr. shoot, I keep forgetting the damn name because there's so many Bobs. Bob Melvin. There we go.
Melvin, yeah.
Yeah, we just got Bob Melvin. Huge pickup for the Padres. An unexpected pickup. So there's definitely there's going to be a lot of A's Padres chat on Twitter and everything, the media, whatever it is, discussing possible options for the Padres. Not only Matt Olson, but Starling Marte, Mark Canha, some pitchers in their rotation. So it's going to be interesting to see if they really do dig into the A's system.
Yeah, I would love the trade, but in order for it to work, you're going to have to somehow dump Hosmer, and then you're going to have to get rid of those prospects. And then realistically, you're probably going to have to give up like a top 5 prospect to get dump Hosmer in his contract, because no one's going to want to eat that, because they all know how bad Eric Hosmer is. Like, they look at the tape, they're going to be like, yeah, this guy can be good sometimes, but it's not worth the headache.
It's like 15 games out of 162, right? The dude's awful.
So, I mean, realistically, I don't think it's going to happen unless there's like a 3-team trade, and that is our saving grace to that. But I don't think it's going to happen. It would be a great move. I think it would be a perfect move, because then you bring back, Matt Olson has his old manager who we've heard nothing but great things from all the players. Some of the he's the best manager that they've had. So I love that signing. It would be great to have, but realistically, it's probably not going to happen.
Right. So, in our opinions, clearly an unrealistic option. However, something that definitely shouldn't be ruled out, considering the moves that the Padres have made, considering the manager they've hired, and their willingness to win. Peter Seidler has said he's willing to spend more money, and he's clearly shown he's willing to do whatever it takes. So definitely not out of the realm of possibilities. We know come Sunday during our live stream, come whatever live streams we do, more episodes, comments, we're going to be hearing a lot about Matt Olson, Starling Marte, Mark Canha. And, let us know what you guys think in the comments. Subscribe, do all that fun stuff. And thank you guys for listening. And we'll talk to you guys. If you guys watch the episode right after, then in a couple minutes. If you guys don't, then tomorrow, whatever it is. But talk to you guys soon.